Okay, so I hope you all are having a fantastic night. I am going to record 3.03, 3.04 for you. And so you'll watch this, then you can get right to work for Wednesday. So we talked about passage-based questions on Tuesday. And so today we're going to be looking at sentence completion questions. It's another type of question that you'll see a lot on the SAT and in these critical skills unit tests. And so it's like passage-based questions where you sharpen your reading skills. And so you have to understand and interpret what you've read. Instead of reading an entire passage, it's one sentence, maybe two. And it has one or two blanks, and you're trying to figure out the words that fit those blanks best. Usually they're vocabulary, so you're looking at the context skills, and then sometimes they are logic-based. So vocabulary, you're using those context clues in the sentence to figure out what word fits in that blank best. Logic-based, you are it's usually two parts, and it's usually using the signal words to determine how the sentence would work logically. Okay, so some little tips for sentence completion questions. So read the entire sentence to yourself to get kind of the overall connotation of the question. You have to understand it as a whole in order to find the little piece. So then you're considering the standard definitions of the words. So if some of the words are long, they're different, they might have multiple meanings. The most common definition is going to be the one that you're going to use. They don't usually ask you for some lesser known definition. And then look for transition words. So if it says like however, yet, although, anything like that, it's telling you that there might be contrasting information. So, it might be starting off positive, like he was a great author. However, and then you're going to know you're looking for something that's not so great to fill in. Consider specific words that might fill in the blank before looking at the answer options. That's the one I use the most. So I'll read it and I'll look at the blank, and then I'll think about what word I would use to finish that sentence. And then I'll go look at the answers and try to find a synonym for the word that I thought. Start with one blank, even on those two blank questions. So you're going to look at it, and you're going to look at one of the first one or the second one options, and then you can cut out the ones that don't make sense. Reread a completed question with your selected answer. Just like math, when you find X, you can put X back into the math question, and if it equals out, you got the right answer. Do the same thing here. You pick an answer, go back and read it with the answer in it. If it makes sense, then you're good to go. And then again, we just talked about this on Tuesday, using those vocab skills. You are all very smart people. You can use your vocab skills to help you find the answers. Okay, so the first question is right here. Piano recital was nearly perfect. Your style, technique, and artistry were blank. So it's asking you to find this, and so it was nearly perfect, so you're looking for something that kind of means like almost perfect. And then the next thing you're going to do is look for anything that's obviously wrong. So you're looking for positive words. So looking through here, morose is not positive. Odious is not positive. So then you're left with interminable, which also is not positive. So that means, it just kind of seemed to go on. So you're looking at basically impeccable and plausible. And then of those two, which one would make most sense or which one doesn't really go? So you're looking for something that basically means perfect. Plausible just means like it's able to happen. So if it's plausible, it's possible. Doesn't really make sense here. So the correct answer would be C, impeccable. Before the explorers could embark, they had to find someone. Sorry, there's a missing word there. Before the explorers could embark, they had to find someone to blank finance their missions. They had to find someone to blank finance their missions. And so you're looking at how the author's departure or the explorer's departure and the financing. So they're trying to find someone to pay for their missions, basically. And if you're looking at all these words, ruminate means you're thinking about it, but doesn't mean that they're doing it. Venerate means kind of like you're almost worshiping, which doesn't make sense. And so the correct answer is E. So before the explorers could embark, they had to find someone to induce finance. They had to find someone to induce finance their missions. So they're trying to persuade someone to finance their missions. Despite Emma's blank personality, she could be blank when irritated. So remember, we said to look for those keywords that tell you that they're going to be contrasting. So the word despite. So despite this personality, she could be this. So that should be two contrasting words here. And so you're going to look for the contrasting words, like I just said. And so it says when irritated, so that probably means that this one's going to be more negative, and this is going to be a more positive personality. So if we look at the first words, terrestrial means land, so that means seas out. That doesn't even make sense. Concise means you're to the point. So that doesn't really make sense. So I would take those two out. And then if I'm looking over here at the second ones, so we have A, B, and E left. Affable means kind of like good-natured. Well, we're looking for opposite of a good-natured personality when she's irritated, so that's out. And then we're left with these two. And scathing, I know, means angry. So even if I don't know what congenial means, which is happy, I know scathing means angry. Like, you give a scathing glare. So I'm going to put B as the correct answer because I know that scathing fits there. And congenial, if you're genial, you tend to be happy. So the correct answer is B. When the librarian stomped into the reading room with a scowl on his face, we blank that we had pushed our limits and decided to quiet down. So if you're looking at all these, you're trying to figure out which one best fits. I'm going to look at the words I know the most. I love the Avengers. I know avenging means that you're going to get revenge, and that doesn't make sense, so that's out. Flouted means you're showing off and you're kind of like bragging. That doesn't make sense. You're not bragging when you're quieting down. Nurtured, you're not. Nurturing is kind of like, you're loving someone, you're making them feel better. And that doesn't seem like they're not trying to nurture him right now. So that means you're left with these two. Deprecated doesn't really seem to fit. You know that construed means that you are understanding. You've come to the conclusion. So that is the correct answer. A. You have construed that you've pushed your limits. They have understood that they have gone as far as they could, and now they are being quiet. Both blank and blank, the freshwater lake getaway provided. Oh my gosh, the freshwater lake provided a getaway for people who wanted peace and privacy. So let's start with the first ones again. So you're looking for something that's peaceful, and private. So you're looking for calm words. Brazen, not calm. So that one's out. If you're brazen, that means you're in people's faces. Daunting is kind of like, it's intimidating. That's not working. So those two are out. And then looking over here, gregarious. That means also big in your face type. So that one's not right. So then we're left with acerbic and debased and tranquil and obscure. I have no idea what A means. But I do know that tranquil means peaceful and obscure means less known. So those both fit peaceful and privacy. So I'm going to pick B. B is the correct answer. All right, so writing thoughtful, coherent essays. It's a skill you're going to use in the SAT. It's a skill you're going to use in school, in life, when you have to write to a potential employer, explaining why you want the job. You need to have good critical writing skills. applying for any kind of training, whether it's going to electrical school or college, you're going to need to be able to write. My dad works as a person that hires a lot of people in the electrical field. If they can't write, he doesn't even consider them. If their introduction letter on their resume is not even close to grammatically correct, he does not consider them. Writing thoughtful, coherent essays, it's a skill you're going to use. All right, so in this, we're going to talk about responding to prompts. So most essay prompts, you're usually going to be asked to write a persuasive or a narrative essay. So persuasive is where you're trying to get the writer, you are trying to get someone on your side. So you're going to take a side on an opinion and express your opinion. So you're going to take a side on an issue. You're going to give your opinion and try to get the reader to come to your side. So the goal, get the reader to come to your side. If they've accomplished their goal, if you have explained your position, you've given reasons and details and justifications for your side, evidence to support your side. Narrative essay, you're talking about some meaningful experience in your life. The goal is to get your reader to understand your experience and what you've learned from it. If you've accomplished your goal, you're telling what happened and why it mattered. So there's 5 steps needed to complete to respond to a prompt. The first one is, they say in the content, it's the ABCDE method. So you're analyzing, you're brainstorming, you're creating a plan, you're writing the draft, and then you're editing. So you're going to analyze the prompt, you're going to brainstorm the ideas of how you want to respond, you're going to create an outline, a plan, then you're going to write your draft, and then you're going to edit. It's ABCDE. So saying you had this prompt right here, growing up is not easy. Everyone experiences bumps in the road and makes mistakes on the way to maturity. Mistakes, however, are not always a bad thing. In fact, in the long run, teenagers can benefit from making mistakes and suffering the consequences. So that's the prompt. The assignment is, do you agree with the notion that making mistakes and suffering the consequences can be beneficial? Why? And then you have to write a response. And so remember, you're doing the ABCDE. You're going to analyze the prompt. You are going to brainstorm your ideas. You're going to create a plan. You're going to write a draft. So this person wrote, this is their outline, right? So they decided they agree that you should let them suffer the consequences. Then they came up with supporting reasons. There's 3 of them. And those become their body paragraphs. So they came up with the idea, yes, I agree. Here's why. Here's another reason why. And then here's the third reason. And then they do an opposing view because it's persuasive. So the third reason is also the counter argument. So you have 2 solid reasons as to why you agree, and then you're going to mention the opposing views side, and then you're going to say why they're wrong. And then when you're done, you're wrapping it up nicely with a conclusion. And it's important to have that counter argument because it shows that you understand what the other people are saying, and then it shows that you were thinking about why they're wrong and why your side is still correct. All right, that's all for this. So you should be finishing this up, and then you can use the rest of your time for today to work on the things that are due. So today is the second, when you're watching this, the second. Your discussion 2.06 is due. So you need to respond to 2 classmates and write your prompts. So there's 3 things. You're going to write respond to your prompts, and then respond to 2 classmates. And then also your Unit 2 test is due Friday. So you should be doing the test or answering the Part 2. Remember, Part 2 has 3 questions, but you only need to answer 1 of them. You're going to pick which question you would like to answer the most for Unit Test Part 2, and that's the one you're going to answer. If you have questions, let us know. We are hanging out in class to answer those questions.